Hey everybody, we're back.
Woo!
Here we have Dan. Say hi to everybody, Dan.
Hey, I have a new hoodie this time.
You do have a new hoodie. It seems like that you're also a little bit. The background seems a little bit more organized.
Where's the hair thing?
That's a lie. No, it's all there. It's just darker back there, so you can't see it.
That's the way to do it.
But I don't think it'll show. There it is. There's the 207.
The 207?
Coming at you live.
That's awesome.
We also have Amanda.
Oh, hey guys. I think this is going to work.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah, you're moving.
Awesome.
And she's
Okay,
moving.
good. I'm moving, you're moving, we're all moving.
And the wonderful Jen from way up north in Canada.
Way up north.
Way up north. There were.
I think Jen and I are almost on the same.
Do you think? Yeah,
northernness.
You're on the
Just
same
across.
Latitude?
The latitude. I think we're the same latitude. I'm just like
Latitude goes like
several
this.
days to the left, depending on how you look at it.
I forget which one it is. I thought longitude. Okay. All right, and then we have our wonderful co-host here, Trey Bowden.
Howdy, guys. And
Who's
my
standing in the
mom.
background?
My mom's standing in the background.
Mom.
There's someone
You
right
can imagine
behind
me
you.
trying to actually explain a Twitter chat to my mom while I'm sitting there doing this. She's like, "Oh gosh, you're gonna be up so late." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's the first Wednesday." And then I showed her TweetDeck, and she was like, "How can you read it all? Crazy."
Don't worry, Ms. Bowden, it's really hard, and I'm really slow.
So and we also have in the background, if you can see her, is
We can.
Yeah.
It's a sugar over here. I'm also revealing some tricks that
No
I'm
pants down there.
Wait a second.
I'm wearing gym shorts.
There goes our rating on YouTube.
Just the truth. Gym shorts and a shirt because I don't want to look like a scrub.
Right.
Anyways.
Now I won't worry about dropping the F-bomb now that we've already dropped our rating. So. And
Let me get our ratings up.
Tonight's topic was how might we be a DT beacon. Where did that come from? I like that. That's a pretty neat idea. Does anyone know where the origins, the genesis of such things?
Yeah.
That sounds like a Mary term to me.
That sounds like
It
a Mary.
It definitely is a Mary term. So Mary, I remember it was one day this summer that she came into the office and she was like, "Trey, beacons," and then she walked away. and I was like, I don't really, okay. And so and this is just normally how it happens. I mean, when you work with someone like Mary and you work with someone like Bo, like they just drop bombs and then they're like,
walk away. Drop the mic, walk away.
So iBeacons are this new technology within Apple products. It's been around for about a year, but they're starting to get a little bit more consistent out there. But it's basically geofencing, that when you go into a Gap, for example, it's a way for Gap to actually say, "Hey, welcome to Gap. Here's a coupon," or something like that. So I think for what we've been thinking about as mods is how can this community drop DT beacons and become DT beacons all around the country and kind of share what's happening in our classrooms, in our settings, and within our faculties. And so how does design thinking and education mash up in a way that can tell a story that we all have here on the chat?
That's a good explanation. That clears up a lot of things, because I was just wondering, oh, that's a neat idea, and I love that graphic. That was a really cool graphic that accompanied that.
Yeah, Mary's one of her summer learning kind of things was to really dive deep, full on deep into Illustrator.
Oh, wow.
And she's been really producing some cool artwork.
That is awesome. That is awesome. She did a great job modding. I always love it when Mary mods. She comes up with some creative ways of interweaving some things and throwing in some different, not as many curves this time as I'm used to with Mary, but that was kind of good tonight.
Sure. So I think I might be one of the few with the show notes up.
Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to launch into this first in the questions that Stephanie Serta actually tweeted out in response to the very first question about Fist to 5, which is just a practice of trying to figure out where are we when it comes to our understanding of a particular subject, and this one was around design thinking. And Stephanie Serta mentioned that her PLN helped to give her the push to build creative confidence and to become more comfortable with design thinking. And so, like, I think one of the things, this is first time back, so some people might be watching the show for the first time, might have been in the chat for the first time. How have you guys seen the chat really benefit your PLN, and how has it changed what you do?
I mean, I can go first. I think that having a PLN made up of people who not only push me to take risks in what I do, but are also there to catch me when I inevitably fall, has really helped me to expand my teaching processes, to be comfortable with design thinking, and has really, kind of empowered me maybe in situations where I don't have that hand-to-hand or, face-to-face connection with someone. So it's great to have people, regardless of where they're located, that can, help hold you accountable. If you say you want to do something and you want to try something new, they're there for you. And if you need help and maybe you're not an expert, you don't have access to an expert like on site, it's great to have these people that if they don't know someone, then they know someone that knows someone. So I think that having a solid PLN has really helped me to kind of get outside of myself in that respect.
Jen, what are your thoughts, being that you're a nonprofit that's been involved, with the chat as well? I'd love for you to just give Exhibit Change a little bit of a plug here too, but I think this is something interesting that happened a couple times over the past year, where we actually had some nonprofits come in or some design thinking non-educators, even though I think we can get into that conversation later. But the truth is we've had that happen, and I think there's been some great benefits with those connections being made. So, Jen, from your perspective, what's Exhibit Change, and then how has that really benefited from the chats?
Asking what is Exhibit Change is a really dangerous question. Right now, we sort of are framing it as working in the intersection between city building and education, but that's like seriously always evolving. We may be on the road to doing a little bit of DT on ourselves and sort of like exploding what's happened over the last 5 years and really pulling apart a lot of the pieces, like when we do a workshop, is it actually working? Does it actually make a difference? Why are we doing it? Who are we actually serving? So I think the thing that's really interesting about being part of DTK12 chat is, one, as much as I do get called out as the northern representation, it's actually really hard to find people in Canada who are doing this kind of work. And so every time I do sort of see what you guys are doing, it's like, why are we not doing that here? And I think that DT Beacon thing really resonates in a way for me where it's like, how do we get a little bit more DT Beaconness, that's totally a word, up here? And what does that look like, and why is it that it's not happening? And so I think it's a lot of we're kind of in this evolution place right now, and I think because we do DT all the time, we're having a lot of challenges with how we're doing it, because I think it's just part of the process. It's like any part when you feel like you might be even remotely done, you're starting all over again.
Right.
So I think that's sort of where we're sitting, and so right now we're in a weird place because we're in execution mode for a really big project coming up in October, and at the same time looking backwards and saying, how did we get here? So we turned 5 this year, which is a huge accomplishment, but also a huge wait, what have we done, and have we actually made 5 years worth of impact? And so it's a lot of confusion, I guess.
What about the DTK12 chat itself? Does anyone have any moments that stand out to them that they experienced this last year that really stuck out?
Like
Hey,
a
Dan,
like a single moment. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Trey.
Dan, I wanted to kind of throw this at you because I think that you have a good story to tell. I think, talking a little bit about South by and how that connected and all those connections happened. I don't know if you'd want to tell that story.
Well, so because of DTK12 chat, like it's a long story, so I'm going to do the truncated Dan trying to be more succinct version. But because of DTK12 chat, because of this community of people I met on here, that led to Trey saying, "Hey, we should probably apply to do a panel." And then a bunch of us said, "Okay," and then we did. And then I ended up at South by Southwest EDU last year, and that was a huge, epic thing for me as a professional. And it was meeting all these folks in person, which was like an extra bonus, like super great. As a professional piece, it was like, all right, this is where I want to be. I want to be in places like this, and I want to get myself to places like this more often because I have something to contribute, and there are people who want to hear what I have to contribute. And so this group made me feel welcome in that, and so that's been in terms of a beacon, it has been. I think a beacons has helped. I think they're a signal that you can choose to go to when you can't find another way. I don't think it has some of the negative connotations that when we say you're a beacon of, I don't know. Sometimes people will apply it and they stick it on.
A beacon of truth.
A beacon of truth, and that's like a label they attach on, and that you're given, or that maybe you give to yourself, and that seems a little weird. But if you just think of what a beacon does, it provides a place where you can focus that you can find because you're feeling lost.
Guidance.
And if you don't feel lost, you don't use the beacon. So, you know what I mean? And in the last couple of years, I felt a little lost. And over the last year, a lot less so. It was really nice. So, God, that was long. Dang, I'm trying to get better.
No, it was good, man.
That was awesome.
It's good. Yeah.
So what about this site, Trey? Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about the site, dude. It is
sweet.
So slick looking.
It's slick. That's
You're
what I
so
feel
fancy.
I'm like, am I at the Huffington Post or am I at DTK12?
Y'all, it's just putting lipstick on a pig, you know what I mean? That's all it is.
You chose the right shade, my friend, and I like the use of lip liner. I'm impressed.
So it is a theme by Woo Theme, so it is built on WordPress, but the idea kind of came out of Fuse, which a lot of the one thing I want to say that you talked about, Dan, there is that we travel well. So if you're new to the community, like, know that it's not just a community that's expressed online, which I think a lot of Twitter chats, that's what it is. That you don't really get to meet the people that are involved.
We
But,
roll
like,
deep.
I think the majority of us have met each other or at least in some parts of the country met certain parts and segments of the DT team. So if you're out there and you're like, I want to meet these crazy cats, well, all you have to do is figure out which one of us is closest to you and what conferences are happening, and we'll try our best to try and meet up and hang out. But with that being said, at Fuse there was probably about 15 to 20 of the moderators here in this chat that showed up, and one of the ideas that was just stirring in me was, this has been such an amazing community that's helped me as an educator meet friends and also be able to develop and push out a voice. So my question that was wrestling in my head is, how can I help other people tell their design thinking stories, and how can I give back? And so for me, it was, I can build a website fairly quickly. We already had the logos for this show. So the hope out of this site is actually to give a space for anyone who's a moderator or anyone who's on the chat, a space to contribute and to become to become bloggers on the site, because I can imagine, you know, a point where there's 30 contributors contributing once a month, where we can have, you know, a lot of content being generated about design thinking and education. So that's kind of the hopeful goal, is a place not only just to store our chats and to promote and that sort of thing, show off the mods and whatnot, but also a place where we can kind of share the well and also give credit to all the different educators that are involved in this chat.
Yeah, it really turned out really good.
If you want to contribute, all you have to do is just follow me, and I'll follow you back, and then I'll DM you, or you can DM me and let me know if you want to, what you would like to do. So.
And by DM, you do mean Dungeon Master.
Yeah, definitely right? Dungeon Master.
Obviously. Obviously.
D minor. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm like, oh, staring at the new site. It's just it's really well put together. And I hope it can become a greater resource. One constant that I get asked often, like randomly during the week, not during DTK12 chat, is, so what's design thinking? Or can you give me like a quick breakdown or whatever? And I think it would be kind of nice if, instead of sending them to other places that aren't community but have good information yet aren't community, if we could send them here, and this is like, okay, so we've got links here to the information, we've got the information, and you just became part of a community. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I love the different bootstrap kit, football something. What, I don't even know what I'm saying. What am I trying to say? The
playbook.
The toolkits and the playbooks and all the different.
Oh, which I forgot to mention, Trey.
I love all that stuff. But those aren't people. Those are just PDFs. Yeah.
And sometimes you need that person with that PDF to talk to bounce things off of.
Yeah.
I think that I've had a lot of people that have expressed that concern too. All right, I've read it, but now what do I do with it?
I send people to the same 3 links every time, and I like sending them to those links. But I send to the same 3 links every time, and I kind of feel like I'm just like, go look at this.
Mm-hmm.
Come back later. And it'd be nice if I could send them somewhere, which I think now we have. Space building.
Reagan and Josie both made those comments tonight of saying, you know, what things could be on it, and artifacts, solutions, and projects, and definitions, and pitfalls, and history, and models, and examples, like those things that would be really cool to have on there.
And I'll make sure to put the link out, but it's just DTK12 chat, right?
.com.
Hey, Jen, I interrupted you, I think.
Maybe.
You were going to say something.
I think it was a lag issue more than anything.
No, I don't think so. I think she started to say something. I was like, blah, 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 blah.
I was going to say I recently was in California and saw the DTK12 playbook in the DTK12 lab at the D school. I know you guys were all there.
I was not.
I
was not.
This guy.
Well, I got a private tour by Ellen.
And others.
Yeah.
And got to see your playbook at the K-12 lab, and I thought that was pretty freaking cool.
Well, it was pretty awesome. You know, a team of us really put. It was funny because I got the picture of David Kelly flipping through the book, and we were in the middle of a meeting. And I think Bo was there, and Bo just looks at me, and I look at it, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Oh!" And I was like, "Oh my God, that's really intimidating." He had the artwork we designed
while he was flipping through it.
I know, you're right to the left of him with a cup in your face.
I was like,
But it was pretty awesome.
Same experience. You know? I lost my mind.
I think the quote was, they asked David, or David asked who designed this, and Mary said 5 teachers, and he was blown away because it really was a team of 5 of us that put in a lot of work into that product. So
that's funny. That's what she told you. He said.
Yeah.
Because when I was there, she just like. That's all she did. She just pointed at herself and did this.
Oh, don't cause trouble.
And I went,
Mary,
what?
She was all
And I
here.
started to say something. She put her whole hand over my face and held. That's what you can see in that picture. I was
up for
for the
you.
moment, and I just got like down, and I'm like clawing my way back.
Dan, you do realize that Mary's like 3 feet taller than you and can totally kick your ass.
You're not as tall as I thought you were.
You don't need to explain that to me, Jen. I experienced.
The internet makes you look so much shorter.
You're only saying that because she's miles and miles away from you.
I have that picture from South by Southwest of him in between Mary and who else was it?
Alyssa?
Alyssa.
And
It was like, I think Dan described it as, the ants that took along the nephew.
Yeah, it was like I went to the conference with my 2 aunts. Yeah. No, it was awesome, and that thing is cool. Now, I did wonder if when you saw it, Jen, when you saw the DT playbook, did they still have it under the glass with the light over the top? Because that was the other thing that they did. That was amazing. I couldn't believe it. They did. It set it up. They had this pedestal.
Fog coming out of them.
It was awesome. They did. Yeah. The
Pyrotechnics.
fog, it just started rolling out.
I think
And
Jen's
they had-
trying to finish her story.
They got the announcer from the Chicago Bulls.
ladies and gentlemen.
Jen, do you want to finish your story now?
Okay, beyond that being really cool, I did, I think going back to Joseph's original question, which was like, how has the DTK12 chat community really impacted? I was literally talking to a guy today who I am mentoring on a design thinking project. He's in university and really wants to try bringing DTK12 into classrooms in Canada, which I think is like a really admirable effort, and I think that he'll probably hit a few bumps along the road, but one of the things I was talking about was how he needs to connect with all of y'all so that he can actually figure out what's going on and see what challenges you guys have faced getting it sort of into your classrooms, but then how do you get it out of your classrooms and into your schools and into your boards and into your districts and all that kind of stuff. So I think definitely expect some emails from me out there to introduce you guys to Bryson.
Awesome.
Sweet.
That is awesome.
That sounds neat.
Well, a couple of things before we sign out. It's getting a little late for some of us, not so much in the Central Time area, but everyone else.
Us East Coast folks gotta go
Yeah,
to
y'all
bed.
Do you really want to go there? Because
No, I
I've
don't.
survived a Mary attack, and I'm ready for anything.
Your Twitter is about to get lit up.
I hope so.
So a couple of things. First off, it is great to be back, and I've been really missing the time to talk to y'all and be able to get back on the Twitter stream and discuss design thinking, and I'm really, really pumped about this new year. And one other thing before we sign out and do the run around is if you haven't yet, you should listen to the Moss Pike's interview on Techlandia. He does a shout out to DTK12 chat. I've been listening to that podcast now for quite a while. It was one of the things that got me the idea of something like this that we can do, and seeing Moss Pike on there and talking about DTK12 chat was pretty cool to hear on a podcast that I usually normally listen to. But he did a great job interviewing. He discussed a lot of very, very interesting things, and only half of it was in Latin. So it was very it's very approachable for us peons that are in the vernacular. But
He's a pretty rad dude.
Yeah.
Spike.
Yeah,
Yes.
he is.
He is pretty
sweet.
awesome.
All right. Well, anyone have some last words before I hit this big red button?
Hit the big red button, Joseph. I like your beard.
Thanks.
Yeah. Man beard.
I'm just gonna do it. What up? All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and good night, and hope to see you next Wednesday. Bye.
Have a good
See you
night.
guys.